I can't hear you yet. Can you hear me? Okay, I can't hear you, but if you can unmute, here, I'll unmute you. There you are.
Oh,
yeah.
Are you the secret storyteller?
The secret storyteller for tonight.
Oh, what fun.
How we doing?
We're doing great. Yourself?
Doing well, thank you. Staying busy for sure.
Yeah. I enjoyed your video in the gym this afternoon.
Well, thank you. It was fun. So,
that was good.
Yep.
How are the kids doing with the learning?
They're doing well. Yeah, they're busy. Mallory probably more so than Parker is right now, but they're obviously they'd rather be at school, which is great to hear. You know,
of course. Oh, lots of people are joining.
Yeah, we're getting lots of people to join us. Great. So
good.
Welcome. How's everybody doing tonight? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, cool. We'll start our story in just a couple of minutes. I'm hoping we'll have a lot of people that want to join us tonight. So. Hello, can people see and hear me? All right, cool. Good to see everybody out there. We'll give it a couple more minutes here for a few more people to log on. I think we've got a few more joining us tonight. And we'll get started with our story. We've got one story for sure and maybe a bonus story, depending on how well this first one goes. So, everybody have a good day today? Raise your hand if you've had dinner already. I had my dinner. So, yeah, good deal. So, all right, we got people that are cozying under some blankets. That's a good thing. I like to do that when I read as well. But, all right, a few more people joining as we go. Oh, hey, how's it going?
Say hi.
Hi.
Hi, guys. You can hear and see some of
Who are you?
you. I'm Mr. Moseman. So some of you maybe can see just me. Others of you maybe are seeing everybody. If you look at your upper right-hand corner of the screen, so you have opportunity to select the view. So you can go speaker view, it'll be just me. Or it'll be, you can go with a gallery view where you'll see everybody that's logged in with us today. So you can choose which one. Hopefully you can see and hear me just fine. Yeah, Mateo, he's got a good background going back there. He's off on the beach somewhere. Pretty awesome, man. I'd like to be there too. But... All right. Adding a few more here. Give it maybe one more minute and then we'll get started. So thanks for your patience. Thanks for joining us tonight. It was kind of a story hour surprise. Who was it going to be today? So today you get me. I'm Mr. Moseman. If I haven't met you before, I'm the athletic director. And that's my job. So I deal with a lot of the high school and middle school kids that play sports. I get to set their schedules and work with their coaches and all sorts of fun things related to that. But I used to be an elementary teacher and a middle school teacher. And so I love to read aloud. It was one of my favorite parts of my day was doing read alouds with my students, whether that was chapter books when I taught upper elementary and middle school. I also taught creative writing for a while. So when I taught creative writing, I used a lot of picture books to help my students learn how they could write better stories. And so some of the things, one of the books I might share tonight is a book that I used to read with my students as well. But the first one I picked today is a new one to me, but I loved it when I was looking through it. And it was, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite things when I was a kid was Halloween. I loved to dress up. And it was fun on Halloween because you get to be somebody else. You get to pretend that you were a cowboy or you were a police officer or a fireman, were all some of the costumes I remember having. One year, I think I even went as a newscaster, someone you'd see on TV on the news at 6 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever it might be. And so I loved pretending I was going to be someone else. And so this book I found for tonight is actually a book about an animal that wanted to be someone else. And I don't know if you've read this one or not, but the book is called The Hypnotamus. The Hipponotamus. So just like a hippopotamus, but hipponotamus instead. So there are a couple things about this one. This is a hippo that maybe doesn't want to be a hippo for very long. And one of the things I want you to listen for as we're reading through is the hippo in here has a phrase that he uses a lot. And so I wonder if you can pick up when he uses it and when he might use it in the story as we're going. Maybe then you can call it out as you hear at a spot where he might say a phrase. So the hipponotamus. Portly, and I'll make sure you see the pictures after I've read each page too. So Portly was a very young hippopotamus. He didn't ask to be a hippopotamus. He was just born that way. And he wasn't sure he wanted to be one forever. Hippos stood up to their eyes in water all day. They ate boring old grass all day. What sort of life was that? One day, Portly said to his mom and dad, "I've been a hippo for long enough, and now I want to be something else." "Impossible," said his dad, shaking his head. "You're a hippopotamus, and that's the way it is," said his mom. But Portly was a very stubborn hippo. "We'll see about that," he said, and stomped off. "It's time for me to be something more interesting and to eat stuff with some taste," he called back. Portly had not gone far when he met a herd of animals. More hippos, he thought, but as he got closer, he saw that they had big spikes where their noses should be. You could do a lot of, tossing stuff around with spikes like that, he thought. I wonder if you can tell what animal it was that he found. There weren't more hippos. "Excuse me," Portly said politely to the nearest animal. "What sort of creature are you?" "I'm a rhinoceros," said the animal through a mouthful of twigs. Well, I'm going to be a rhino thingy too, said Portly. But first I need some spikes. Where'd you get yours? The rhinoceros laughed. You could say I got my horns from my mother. Does she have any more? Said Portly. No, said the rhino. You have to grow your own. We'll see about that, said the little hippo. Portly found 2 pieces of wood and sharpened them until they were pointed, like horns. He tied them on his nose, but then he couldn't see. He tied them to the sides of his head. He tied them on top of his head. He tied them underneath his chin. No matter what, they just didn't look right. He turned around for some advice, but the rhinos were gone. So Portly continued on his journey with the horns sticking out just anywhere. Horns didn't work very well for him. Before long, Portly saw a strange animal hanging upside down from a tree. That looked like fun. Excuse me, he said. What sort of creature are you? I'm a bat, I think, said the animal. And you are? I'm a hipponoceros, actually, said Portly. So what do bats do? The bat took ages to answer. Eat stuff? Hang out? It's not easy being a bat, he added. We'll see about that, said Portly. He made some hooks out of bananas and tied them to his feet. Carefully, he climbed into the tree and then hung upside down. Does that sound like a good idea for a rhinoceros to hang upside down from a tree, or a hippo to hang from a tree? I don't think so. Now what? He asked. Now, said the bat, we wait. For what? Portly wanted to know. The bat thought hard. Wednesday, he said. So Portly settled down to wait for Wednesday. But after 5 minutes, the banana slipped and he fell out of the tree. That's when Portly decided that 5 minutes was just about the right amount of time to be a bat. A little later, Portly found a water hole. Standing in it was an enormous animal. What do you think it was? I think I have an idea. Excuse me, Portly said. What sort of creature are you? I'm an elephant, you guessed it, said the animal. What, may I ask, are you? I'm a hippobatonoceros, and I'm going to be an elephant too, announced Portly. I want to spit water out of my nose. I want to smell something when I'm here and my nose is somewhere else. So I'll want one of those tube things. And I want some big flappy ears. And the elephant had to smile. Wait a second, young hippobatonoceros. You have to be born with those things. But Portly was determined. We'll see about that. That was a big elephant. Portly made big ears from 2 large leaves. Then he made a trunk out of a vine. But what could he do with that? He wanted to trumpet tunes and pluck leaves and spit with it. But he couldn't. His journey was slow because his horns fell over his eyes. His hooks caught in bushes. He kept tripping over his trunk and his ears flapped all over the place. But now Portly was getting a bit bored with all his excitement. He kept thinking about water for some reason. Portly had not gone far when he met some new animals. They started on the ground like you and me, but ended up above the trees. I wonder what those were. Excuse me, said Portly to a knobby knee. What sort of creature are you? A head appeared from the leaves. I'm a giraffe, it said. What do giraffes do? Called the little hippo. Eat leaves mainly, said the giraffe. Can a hippoalabadinoceros eat?
Hang tight, friends. I think he's jumping back in. He got bumped off.
What are you doing? You're watching? Dad. Dad, some people on.
All right, I'm back. Can you hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, good deal. Sorry about that, technical difficulties. So back to the giraffe. The giraffe said, but it takes years to grow all the way up here, exclaimed the giraffe. We'll see about that, said Portly. Have you figured out what Portly's favorite phrase is yet? He likes to say, we'll see about that. Yep, exactly. Portly made 2 tall stilts out of branches and strapped them to his legs. But it was hard being so high up. Easy. Oops. Uh-oh. Help! Poor Portly. Portly was now as hot and as hungry as a hippo can be. I know just what I need, he thought. And Portly started out on the long trail that led back to the river. Portly's mom and dad were standing up to their eyes in water when they saw their son. Excuse me, said Mom, knowing who it was, but not letting on. What sort of creature are you? I'm a hippogerelabadinoceros, Portly said proudly. Well, are you hungry? Asked his mom kindly. I'm afraid we only have boring old grass for supper. Do hippogerelabadinoceroses eat boring old grass? As a matter of fact, said Portly, they like it more than anything. Then come and join us, said Dad. So the young hippopotamus removed his stilts and slid into the river. The water felt wonderful, and the boring old grass tasted better than ever. He did not notice his ears floating away, his trunk sinking, and his hooks and horns falling off. Mom smiled at Portly. Our own little hippo doesn't want to be a hippo anymore, so there's plenty of room for you if you'd like to stay. What do you think Portly's going to say? Does he want to stay or does he want to keep roaming around? Said Portly, looking up at some nearby monkeys and wondering what it would be like to swing from tree to tree by his tail. What do you think he said? We'll see about that. The end. What do you think? Good story? Yeah, some thumbs up around the place, a few applauses. I like that. Okay. One of the things I liked about that story was Portly got to be someone else for a little bit. He got to go explore, just like we do when we go dress up on Halloween. But I think by the end of the story, he realized that he was pretty special all by himself. And the way that God made him was pretty cool. So it was fun to be someone else for a while, but to come back and say, you know what, this is who I am, this is who I get to be, I think was kind of what Portly learned as we went through there. So I hope you learned a little something from it as well. So that was about, 15 minutes. I did bring another book with me. If you want to stick around, I'm happy to read it. If you are looking for to do something else, you're happy to log off as well. But oh, I saw a couple thumbs up. All right, good. So this is one of my favorites. I've read this one for a long time. I used to actually work at a daycare when I was in college, which was a long time ago, a really long time ago. And this is one that the kids would always ask for when I would be the reader for story time at daycare. So some of you probably know this one, Officer Buckle and Gloria. And you really have to pay close attention to the pictures on this one. So I'll try and get them real close to the screen so you can see them. All right. Officer Buckle knew more safety tips than anyone else in Natville. Every time he thought of a new one, he thumbtacked it to his bulletin board. Safety tip number 77, never stand on a swivel chair. I think that's good advice to follow. Don't stand on a swivel chair. Officer Buckle shared his safety tips with the students at Natville School. Nobody ever listened. Sometimes there was snoring. Afterward, it was business as usual. Mrs. Topple, the principal, took down the welcome banner. Never stand on a swivel chair, said Officer Buckle, but Mrs. Topple didn't hear him. Then one day, Natville's police department bought a police dog named Gloria. When it was time for Officer Buckle to give the safety speech at the school, Gloria went along. Children, this is Gloria, announced Officer Buckle. Gloria obeys my commands. Gloria, sit. And Gloria sat. Officer Buckle gave safety tip number 1. Keep your shoelaces tied. The children sat up and stared. Officer Buckle checked to see if Gloria was sitting at attention. She was. Now, look carefully at Gloria in this picture. You maybe see why the kids were paying a little bit more close attention to Officer Buckle this time. Keep watching. Safety tip number 2, said Officer Buckle. Always wipe up spills before someone slips and falls. The children's eyes popped. Officer Buckle checked on Gloria again. Good dog, he said. Officer Buckle thought of a safety tip he had discovered that morning. Never leave a thumbtack where you might sit on it. The audience roared. Officer Buckle grinned. He said the rest of the tips with plenty of expression. The children clapped their hands and cheered. Some of them laughed until they cried. Officer Buckle was surprised. He had never noticed how funny safety tips could be. After this safety speech, there wasn't a single accident. Watch Gloria. Remember he said that he might sit on a thumbtack? The next day, an enormous envelope arrived at the police station. It was stuffed with thank you letters from the students at Natville School. Every letter had a drawing of Gloria on it. Officer Buckle thought the drawing showed a lot of imagination. His favorite letter was written on a star-shaped piece of paper. It said, "You and Gloria make a good team. Your friend, Claire. P.S. I always wear my crash helmet, or wear a crash helmet. Safety tip number 7." Officer Buckle was thumbtacking Claire's letter to his bulletin board when the phone started ringing. Grade schools, high schools, and daycare centers were calling about the safety speech. Officer Buckle, they said, our students want to hear your safety tips, and please, bring along that police dog. Officer Buckle told us safety tips to 313 schools. Everywhere he and Gloria went, children sat up and listened. After every speech, Officer Buckle took Gloria out for ice cream. Officer Buckle loved having a buddy. Then one day, a television news crew videotaped Officer Buckle in the State College auditorium. Uh-oh, now they're videotaping. What do you think the camera's going to show? When he finished safety tip number 99, do not go swimming during electrical storms, the students jumped to their feet and applauded. Bravo! Bravo! They cheered. Officer Buckle bowed again and again. Check out Gloria here. Never go swimming in an electrical storm. That night, Officer Buckle watched himself on the 10 o'clock news. I think Gloria's secret is going to be out here. The next day, the principal of Natville School telephoned the police station. Good morning, Officer Buckle. It's time for our safety speech. Officer Buckle frowned. I'm not giving any more speeches. Nobody looks at me anyway. Oh, said Mrs. Topple. Well, how about Gloria? Could she come? Someone else from the police station gave Gloria a ride to the school. Gloria sat on stage looking lonely. Then she fell asleep. So the audience. After Gloria left, Natville School had its biggest accident ever. It started with a puddle of banana pudding. Splat, splatter, sploosh. Everyone slid smack into Mrs. Topple, who screamed and let go of her hammer. Looks like a pretty serious accident there. The next morning, a pile of letters arrived at the police station. Every letter had a drawing of the accident. Officer Buckle was shocked. At the bottom of the pile was a note written on a paper star. Officer Buckle smiled. The note said, Gloria missed you yesterday. Your friend, Claire. P.S. Don't worry, I was wearing my helmet. Safety tip number 7. Gloria gave Officer Buckle a big kiss on the nose. Officer Buckle gave Gloria a nice pat on the back. Then Officer Buckle thought of his best safety tip yet. Safety tip number 101, always stick with your buddy. I think that's a great tip too. Stick with your buddy. So thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. I enjoyed sharing my stories with you. We've got story time tomorrow night at 6:30 and another one at 6:30 on Thursday night if you want to join us again. There'll be different readers, so you have to tune in to see who it is. You might know them, you might not. But
Mr.
great.
Moseman,
What's that?
my kids wanted to know, do you drive a Batman Jeep?
I do drive a Batman Jeep, yes.
They've been wondering who drove that, and they thought it might be you.
It is me. I do drive the Batman Jeep, so it's kind of a
Confirmed.
trademark. So
Mystery solved.
that was part of the surprise for tonight too, I guess. So, all right. Great to see all of your faces. I hope everybody's doing well. Keep working on your schoolwork and enjoying that time you get with your teachers. and enjoy the time you have with your family as well. So we love you guys. We miss you, and we hope we see you real.
All right, guys. Did you like that?
Yeah.
I'm on now.